Let's see. We were, City Council chamber upgrades in conjunction with item 8C on the City Council agenda.
Yes, I'll try to make this as quick as I can. Essentially, what this item is doing is asking the council and the agency to approve resolutions that will allow staff to enter into agreements and provide funding to upgrade the City Council chambers' broadcast and audiovisual capabilities. I'm sure most of the people at home, as well as the council, are aware that our equipment that we're using for broadcast and for presentations to council is now obsolete technology. And in fact, there are going to be new mandates by the federal government this time next year that will require all broadcast to be in digital format as opposed to analog. Currently, all of our equipment is analog, and we are going to be updating to digital equipment. This should improve our sound and picture quality quite a bit for the viewers at home and also for the council, because it will also include new monitors and microphones for the council chambers, as well as a screen above the chambers. I knew that Mayor Bukowski would would enjoy that particular part of it. It will also make it easier for people to make presentations. Some of the glitches that we've had in the past has been because people with newer computers and software trying to access our equipment. Our equipment was old enough that that was a problem for any of you who've ever had to use a computer software on a new old software on a new computer or vice versa. You know how that can be. So what we're asking is the council to approve a contract with Advanced Systems Group for $95,000. It's a design-build contract to purchase equipment and to install it, and a companion resolution to amend the agreement with Second Sight Video to provide project oversight. This is a project that they've been very involved in to date, since they are the operators of the equipment, and they, along with ASC, were actually the original designers of the equipment when we first put it in. Staff really doesn't have the expertise or the resources at this point to be able to manage this project. It's a fairly specialized project. At the same time, we're also asking the council to provide direction on another part of our continuing and, I would say, motivated steps to try to improve how we are able to provide information to the public through electronic means, and just to be a little bit more user-friendly, in that we have received complaints from council and some others that the audio, that the garden level acoustics are not the best for meetings, and that it's sometimes difficult to hear. So we have identified a console system that could operate downstairs, and it's a portable system that could be used in other meetings as well. However, it's a fairly expensive system. It is about $4,000. Excuse me. It is about $4,000 just for. Let's see. It's about $4,000 for just the basic system, which isn't the individual consoles that you would need to be able to be part of the conversation. And each participant console is $700. So even if you only purchase 6 consoles, which would only be enough for 6 people to participate using the system, that's an $8,000 system. An possible alternative is that we have recently purchased a portable assisted listening system that could be used to compensate for the poor acoustics in that meeting room. It's also portable. We bought a system that has 12 headphones that could be used, and it amplifies sound. That's what those devices do. And so even though it's not necessarily going to be used by people who would qualify as being under the American Disabilities Act or are actually hard of hearing, it would amplify the sound for anybody that would like to be able to hear a little bit easier in the garden level meeting room. So in addition to approving the resolutions on the council and the agenda regarding the chamber upgrades, we're asking for a little bit more direction on the garden level. That concludes my report.
Now, go ahead.
we have to move ahead on this. We're in the dark ages with this equipment. I would like to move approval of the agency resolution and the 3 city resolutions, and I'd also like to make a comment on the garden court effort. Before we move ahead with an expensive system, can we take another look at that and see if there's any way to increase the ability to hear down there, any kind of baffles we could use? You know, that was kind of it's a relatively unfinished room. There may be a way to improve the sound in that room that would serve us better than a system.
We could ask the facilities managers to look. I think one of the issues is if you've noticed that the ceiling is the
Exactly,
ceiling, and
exactly.
so a lot of the sound disappears into kind of the, I don't know, kind of
Could
the,
we take a look at
yeah.
some baffles there before we invest in an expensive system?
Yeah, I would
Do I have
support
a
that.
second
Yeah.
on my motion?
Yes,
I just
I
had-
second that.
I had one comment, while we're talking about broadcasting and whatever, I just want to raise this issue about ETV, because, since I recently got cable, it disturbs me that most of the time there's nothing on the channel. And I think that we should have something on the channel all the time, whether it's just replaying the planning commission meetings, the general plan meetings, anything. We should be putting out information constantly. If I go to the Oakland channel, there's always something on there, and we should be putting something on here. Maybe we could have Thursday, as we replay the planning commission every Thursday, maybe the city council meetings every Tuesday, but something that's always on the air so that we can keep people informed on what's going on. So I guess I'm asking for the council to maybe assist me and give some direction to the city clerk that we should always have something
That is
on the air.
precisely the kind of improvement that the system will allow us to do.
Exactly.
Part of the problem we have now is that we have a manual, we don't have a video server that we can stack programming and have it replay. So everything has to be done manually. We've also had our character generation has now completely failed. And so when you see the announcement of calendars now, it's not scrolling over things anymore. It's actually a DVD that we actually are installing with the calendar, which makes some of the things that I know, Mayor Bukowski, that you would like rather difficult. Once we have the video server and the rest of this equipment in place, we will able to not only replay council meetings and other public meetings, but we'll also be able to run many of the fine public service videos that other public agencies have.
Call the question.
A lot of different things that we cannot do now.
Mayor,
easily.
two comments. One is, I'll second Nora's motion.
I already did.
Oh, you did, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. I need some more amplification. 2 points. One is, if we're going to look at downstairs, then let's get a sound expert in, because I don't think just finishing the ceiling is going to do it. The real problem down there is that when you have a lot of committee members around the table, all the way around the table, and you've got people sitting in the audience, a good part of the committee has their back to the audience. And so people sitting behind them on the south side, essentially, as they're at the table, can't hear what they're saying because they're speaking north. And I don't think we're going to be able to fix that without amplification. People sitting in the audience clearly have to be able to hear what the people around the table are saying. And it's been an ongoing problem. And we have a fair number of committee meetings there. I mean, we have the public art meetings there. A lot of times they're not attended. Other times there's a lot of folks. We had the Park Avenue committee meetings down in there, and a lot of times there were many people at those meetings. We've done some things to improve the noise. We got the Coke machine out of there because the compressor was so loud. So that's a good step. So I'm willing to take a look at it, but I'd like to get an expert in to tell us that simply by putting sheetrock, in the ceiling is going to amplify the sound enough so that people can hear it.
Well, let me just say one thing in response. Your point's well taken, but the other thing you can do with these meetings is, instead of having one long table, you have the table in a U facing the people who come. And then all that sound is directed out to those people that are sitting there.
And for most
There's other solutions.
meetings that works, Nora, but when we have a lot of people down there's not enough space to really do it.
Well, if you have a lot of people down there, you should bring them all up here and have the
that's a good
meeting
idea.
up here.
My other comment that I want to make, and it's just, I want to appreciate, and I talked to Dave a little bit before we got started, so I have an idea of where we're going. I want to appreciate the good work that's being done on this. At the end of the day, while we're doing a lot of this is going to improve our telecasting, I don't want to be in another public meeting like we were on the General Plan Update Committee meeting and have a room full of people that can't hear each other. And what I don't want to hear is the refrain that this system is designed to broadcast the sound out to television, and it's not designed for this room. We've got to have remote mics that people in any part of the room can use to speak, and that everybody on the other side of the room can hear them. And if that's where we're going to get, then I support this 100%. But I don't want to end up back anywhere near where we are now.
And we actually, Second Sight has invited a sound expert in because we are aware that there have been some problems with the microphones inside the chamber,
Right, okay.
which is, we're trying to figure out why that is. And actually, I forgot, there's one more direction that staff has requested as part of this report. In the funding for this project, staff is recommending that half of the money come from the redevelopment agency, which, of course, the agency's meetings are broadcast, and much of what is done at our public meetings is also for the agency's good. But in addition to that, that's about half of it, $52,500. But that the other half be taken from our education government called an egg access fund, which is something that's in our agreement with Comcast, our cable provider, that essentially there is a charge that is provided as part of the cable franchise agreement that the city receives. We only have about $18,000 in that fund right now. It accumulates over time. At the end of the 5 years of the franchise agreement, we should have about $50,000, but right now we only have $18,000. So staff is proposing that the balance of the fund, if we don't have enough by the end of the fiscal year, which quite frankly I don't think it's going to accumulate that fast, be drawn from the technology fund. And there are monies in the technology fund, in fact, to do that.
I would move that.
The other alternative is
No.
to pay back the fund with the future monies that we're going to be receiving from the Egg Access Fund. Alternatively, those funds could be used to support broadcasting at the Center of Community Life and / Emory Unified School District, because we are also working with the school district to look at the possibility of being able to live broadcast the city school meetings as well as the school board meetings. But while Comcast has to provide the ability to broadcast, they don't have to provide the cameras and that kind of equipment to make that so. So those are the kind of two alternatives with that funding that we're asking.
Well, let's take one step at a time. Take the money out of the technology fund. We'll have an opportunity to discuss the second step if we're so inclined.
Okay, and one more thing before we call the question. Maybe we can get a round table downstairs instead of the rectangle tables that we have, and that maybe people would be better situated if they could look.
No,
at each other.
Dick's problem is people who sit over to the side, who attend those meetings, cannot hear when the people who have the back to the audience are speaking. If you have an open form of table, they're going to be able to hear.
So if you have a round table, though, there's less people with their backs towards it and more people, Anyway, let's call a question. Oh, did you have a question? John?
One of the things I was interested in is streaming the video on the internet.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, I didn't see that in the report, but I do see that we're going to have a video server. So I'm assuming that we're going in that direction. And let me be precise. What I've seen on other city websites is a past city council agenda, and the agenda item will be written out, and then there will be a link to the written staff report, which is PDF and it's not scanned. And then there will be another link that if you click that, you can see the minutes, what happened on that particular agenda item. And then the third link, the third column, is you can watch that segment on demand. So I'm assuming that I don't know whether we'll go in that direction in terms of the city website, but I just want the equipment to be able to do that.
Absolutely, yes, that it will be compatible with streaming video.
Okay.
Okay, call the question, please. Actually, without objection, is there any objection?
There's no exception.
Okay, great. Okay, let's move on to the next item.